Where do the Broncos rank as favorites to land JJ McCarthy? Welcome into your Denver Sports Daily for March 19th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel V. Hill.
Odds makers are saying the Broncos aren't going to get McCarthy with their number 12 pick in the 2024 draft. Instead, they now have made the Minnesota Vikings the favorite to land the Wolverine after it was made public that he would have a private workout for the Twin Cities team next week. The Vikings are slated to pick number 11, in part because the Broncos beat them 21-20 in week 11 this past fall. That one hurts just a little bit. Now, Minnesota is a minus 115, and the New York Giants are a plus 350. Denver being a plus 430 to land the QB. And also just some news that came out within minutes of the show starting. Michigan's quarterback, JJ McCarthy, visited the Giants last week, which included dinner with their front office and a tour of the facility. And then the Commanders are flying out to Ann Arbor to have dinner with him on Thursday night. So just a little bit more information for you on that front. Now, don't expect any surprise trades at the top of next month's NFL draft. According to SI's Albert Beer, the top three teams, quote unquote, aren't willing to move despite getting trade offers from teams looking to grab one of the top three quarterbacks. The Bears, Commanders, and Patriots hold the top three picks and will likely use them on USC's Caleb Williams, LSU's Jaden Daniels, and UNC's Drake May in some order of that. Now, you might be like, okay, well, what other quarterbacks are available if the Broncos aren't able to land one of the top three QBs? Well, we can go ahead and look at all of these really, really fancy names that we've got here. Most people may not recognize some of these names. Brian Hoyer might be a little bit of an interesting one. Trevor Siemian right there, Ryan Tannehill, a Carson Wentz. Those are probably the most notable ones in the list. But yes, there is not a ton going on right there for the Denver Broncos if they aren't able to get the QB they want out of the draft. We did learn that according to a report from Sports Illustrated's Albert Beer, again, Broncos general manager George Paton, quote unquote, touched base with Cousins agent Mike McCartney. The Broncos and the GM had touched base with McCartney, letting him know that while the team was a little hamstrung cap-wise, that he and Sean Payton liked Cousins a lot and would be interested if the market changed. Obviously, that didn't end up being the case as he went down there to Atlanta, so it is nice to know that they maybe have poked around a little bit to see if the Broncos and that Kirk Cousins could work out a deal in some sense, but ultimately Kirk Cousins wanted to get paid going down to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, yesterday, we talked about Garrett Bowles at the end of the show and how the Broncos picked up his injury guarantee. The same thing happened for Courtland Sutton. Mike Kliss from 104.3 The Fans, the Broncos insider, and 9 News noted that the Broncos picked up Sutton's full $2 million injury guarantee for the 2024 season. Sutton is locked in to make his full $13.6 million this upcoming season. He does have 1 year left on his deal for 2025 at $14 million, but that is not guaranteed. So the Broncos would take on a little less than $4 million in dead cap money after this year if they were to cut Sutton. Now, Sutton only had 772 receiving yards last year, which was 44th in the NFL. We all know Sutton has been very active on social media, posting different gifs of him saying that he's all alone, despite still having teammates like Marvin Mims Jr. and Tim Patrick out there. So does Courtland Sutton want to be here? That's kind of the main question everybody is wanting to know. And it does seem like Broncos country is slightly starting to turn on Courtland Sutton. What was once the, oh my gosh, best guy ever has now kind of said, well, if you don't want to be here, we don't want you, get out. Now, of course, if we always look ahead to the draft, it's fun to know what local schools here in Colorado, whether that be CU or CSU, has going on. And Cecil Lammey was up at CSU Pro Day yesterday. Take a listen.
Where he turned in a good performance, but following it up with an explosive pro day here in the 40-yard dash, the vertical jump, even on the 225 reps. I believe his number was about 15 for a cornerback. That's really good. So a late round corner with upside, a late round tight end with upside. Dallin Holker had a really good day here as well. I timed him in a 4.5 He wanted a better 40 time after disappointing at the combine. And speaking of the combine, it was Mo Kamara, the talented edge rusher, a day 3 pick, just like the rest of these guys, a day 3 pick with upside. Mo's sitting on everything he did at the combine, which is great because he was awesome. But 28 teams were here in Fort Collins. Rams down, Cowboys next.
And the sports world is mourning the loss of Steve Tensi, who threw the first touchdown pass in the Broncos' first NFL game back in 1970. He died on Friday in his hometown of Boone, North Carolina, at the age of 21. He had originally joined the Broncos in 1967 in a trade from the Chargers and started all 32 games in 4 years for Denver before injuries eventually forced him to retire. After retiring from professional football, he worked as a quarterbacks coach for Wichita State University for 2 seasons and later coached wide receivers for the World Football League's Chicago Fire. So obviously we send our condolences to his entire family and loved ones, and also to Broncos country, because that obviously is a very momentous occasion right there with the first touchdown pass. This next Mile High Minute is brought to you by Smashburger, and the Denver Nuggets hold the number 1 spot while the Minnesota Timberwolves continue their rise with 4 weeks to go in the power rankings. It is a Nuggets game day today, of course, as they will be taking on the T-Wolves. This will be a very, very good game. As you can see down there, they both have the exact same record. And of course, when you look at at the records and at the power rankings, there's plenty of good stuff to go into tonight's game. So I'm very excited about it for sure. And again, will we see a Joker triple-double? Is it a dangerous game because it is a rivalry? And are we actually talking about this being a rivalry? Good question. I'm looking forward to talking and going through everything with it again. And then Peyton Watson gifted UCLA women's basketball vests ahead of March Madness. So take a look at this video. Oh, looks like we may actually not have that video. So we'll get back to that towards the end of the show, hopefully. But you guys, we got one more thing for you. The CSU Rams. They obviously are going to be playing today as well, and I am so excited. Make sure you tune into Coffee Break because it'll definitely be a very good game. I'm nervous, obviously, as a fellow Rammy. It's going to be good. 24-10, the Rams sit at, and then Virginia, the Cavaliers are 23-10. That is a 7:10 Mountain Time tip. I'm a little nervous, like always. I feel like anytime you can kind of get into your head a little bit when it comes to this, but of course, everybody tune in 7:10. And then I also will have Kevin Lytle joining me on Coffee Break at 12 p.m. to break it down. He is in Dayton, so it's going to be plenty of good stuff there as well. Now, we'll go to hockey real quick. So for those wondering about the status of the hats from Cale Makar's first ever NHL hat trick, they're being donated to the Denver Rescue Mission for distribution today on Tuesday, which is really cool. And Kroenke Sports Charity is also donating an additional 500 new Avalanche hats as well. The Avs do play tonight, so you got a busy slate of games if you are going to be, in fact, watching the Nuggets, the Avalanche, and the Rams for March Madness. So that game starts at 6 p.m. tonight. They're taking on the St. Louis Blues. Avalanche obviously have a little bit of a better record there, but the Blues are always a tough one. Puck drops, like I said, at 6 o'clock. Now, Chris Bryant. We all remember when he opened up to The Athletic and he shared that he wished his free agency, that he wishes he had, looked a little different considering the fact that he's going to the Colorado Rockies. Things haven't been so good recently and he's been injured a lot. So he said he had wished he had played out a little bit differently. Well, quote unquote, there were other teams interested, but he didn't want to wait around. It was a completely different situation for a lot of free agents at the time. And he goes, I guess I didn't do as much research into the prospects as I could. Now, that pissed off a lot of Colorado Rockies fans and just Colorado fans in general. So then he came back and did an interview with MLB.com trying to essentially talk back on that. And he said, I would have no room to even say anything like that considering how my last 2 years have gone. For me to have the audacity to say something like, oh, our players aren't good, I'm going to say something like that after not performing and not being on the field. That is never how I would come across. Now, there's a story in the Denver Post about Rockies pitcher Herman Marquez saying the team has Chris Bryant's back after the comments he made came out the quote-unquote wrong way. Sticking with baseball. Oh my gosh, this one just kills me a little bit. My producer Joey and I, we were talking about this before the show began, but Shohei Otani is set to begin throwing after undergoing elbow surgery, but do not expect the Dodger star to take the mound this season. Manager Dave Roberts says Otani is not going to pitch this year and will primarily serve as a designated hitter, but might play the field if his arm is healthy enough. Otani joined the Dodgers this offseason on a historic 10-year, $700 million deal. So the fact that he is not going to pitch and might not even play at all is crazy considering he just signed that remarkable deal at $700 million. to the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers have been stripped of a 2025 NFL draft pick. The move comes after the league review found administrative payroll accounting errors at the close of the 2022 league year that resulted in misreporting of the franchise's cumulative player compensation. San Francisco will forfeit its original 5th round selection in the 2025 draft and have their 2024 4th round selection moved to the end of the 4th round behind the compensatory picks. Like, ooh, that's not looking good for the 49ers. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Atlanta Falcons after Kirk Cousins kind of spilled that he had essentially been talking to some of the staff over there, which would in fact be part of the illegal tampering period. So it would be interesting. But yeah, we're seeing the NFL obviously make moves and saying, nope, you're losing some picks right there. Now, if you watch the show Quarterbacks, everybody tend to fall in love with it. Well, then you're in luck because there is a new sports series announced called Receivers. So kind of what this led me to believe is, one, they couldn't get any more quarterbacks to join in. So they said, all right, we're switching to the receivers. Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuels. There will be 8 episodes in this series. It'll be on Netflix. Plenty of good stuff to come for sure. I love getting an inside look into all of these guys' lives. I always find it to be so fascinating what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on in the locker room and team meetings, etc. I think that it's so cool that we're able to be a part of that and to kind of live and see what it's like. I would love to see a Denver Bronco in there one day, but unfortunately, you got to be pretty dang good to be featured in any of these series. And as of right now, nothing too good is happening for the Denver Broncos. So that on this Tuesday, we'll leave you with that. Of course, I always love checking out some of your comments. Let's see. Yawn QB list. Yes, if they are going to go for the free agency round, there are absolutely no good names left on that list that I would be interested in at least. So I'm definitely saying, yep, go to bed. Nuggets are favored tonight. Let's go. I'm really looking forward to tonight. I really didn't watch any sports last night because I was like, I need to just be mentally prepared for Nuggets, Avalanche, and the Rams all tonight. It's going to be like switching channels, all sorts of stuff. So it should be very good. Let's see. This one kind of just makes me laugh. You're not trying if you're not cheating. I think that's probably a bad approach to a lot of things, but I'm glad that the NFL is at least a little strict on the teams that obviously don't follow a lot of those kind of protocols. So it is good to see. Let's see. Bryant is right. The Rockies should have done a little more research on Bryant. That's definitely also the case. He has not lived up to the money that they are paying him, to the name that he brought over. Everyone was really excited, myself included, when Chris Bryant came over. But it just kind of is what it is at this point. So you guys, always love hanging out with you. Like I said, come hang out. We're going to get a little glimpse of what life is like in Dayton. Obviously, as the Rams will be taking on Virginia tonight. I'm really excited. First 4. So come hang out with us. Coffee break, 12 p.m. And we'll see you guys tomorrow right here for another episode of Denver Sports Daily. Peace out, everybody. Get back to work.